Hey, what's on, guys? Welcome to my spoiler-free review of Death of Superman. So Death of Superman is the newest DC animated movie of 2018. I can easily say that this is probably the best DC animated universe movie that has ever been released. Granted, this is after the whole establishment of the animated universe. This doesn't include, Flashpoint Paradox and all that. When I first heard that this movie was being made, I had a few concerns. I wasn't exactly sure how this movie was going to play out because we've seen Death of Superman be adapted in different movies before. So we saw it in Superman Doomsday from way back in 2007. And then we saw it again with Batman v Superman, which was probably, in my opinion, the least appealing version of that storyline. And then we have this version. So we have three versions. And this version right here, this is hands down the best version possible of the Death of Superman storyline. I went into this movie with moderately high hopes because, I thought it was going to be like other animated movies by DC, which is pretty much, they all have the same typical formula and they're all about above average movies. But this movie was in a completely different league of its own. Like, it completely just raised the bar for DC animated movies, and it's absolutely insane what this movie has done. I want to say it's pretty much just renewed my faith in the whole character of Superman, because before this, I just didn't feel like the DCEU wasn't doing the characters that much justice. And previous animated movies were cool and all, but they just didn't scream like this is Superman. Like, sure, he had some moments, but this is the movie where he really shines. And despite the title, the movie isn't really about, Superman's whole death and everything. It's more trying to show what he represents as a character, as an icon. It's this whole Big Blue, just this superhero guy. He fights for the little guys and he's always there, he's always ready to save the day kind of concept behind him. So it's not, you don't want to focus completely on the whole death concept, but it's usually the underlying message beneath that is what really holds this movie up. And that actually brings me to my next point, which is the whole writing and story for this film was it was a lot more like richer than the previous DC animated movies films. I'm guessing, they put a lot more effort into this than have with any other animated movie before, because they really wanted to do justice, especially since the past two versions weren't all that good. Superman Doomsday is one of my guilty pleasure movies. I know it's not exactly the most accurate version, but it's still like a decent sort of kind of movie. But this movie, in terms of accuracy, this movie right here is probably the closest we're going to get to the comic book adaptation. Granted, there are some differences here and there, mostly due to the fact of the way that the animated universe has been established currently and how they're following that whole trend and kind of fusing that over into the future movies like this one. So that there are some minor changes here and there, but for most of the movie, they stuck pretty closely to the comic books. They got certain characters from the comics in here. They had some panels, they had some scenes that were almost like an exact version of the panels in the comics, and it's crazy. It's absolutely just blows my mind. And another reason why this movie is just in a league of its own is just because of the stakes, the intensity, the tension. It's on a whole different level compared to like the animated movies that we've seen before. Like, those movies are good, but this is like beyond great. It's like almost god level. Like, it's insane how much tension was in it. The last DC animated movie that I saw that had this much intensity and tension would be Under the Red Hood, and that was back in like 2010, 2009. So it's absolutely crazy that now we have this. So the writing and the narrative, as I said earlier, are really rich. They follow the comics pretty closely. And it all feels much more natural. And unlike the previous animated movies, nothing really feels too forced in this. Because in the previous ones, some of the writing felt a little bit forced, and some of the plot points didn't exactly hit as they're supposed to. But with this movie, everything kind of just feels really organic, really natural, and everything just falls into place. My only gripe with the movie would probably be some scenes here and there where they're trying to give Clark some humor, and it just doesn't land all that well. And then the other one is, I just felt like the Lex Luthor voice actor didn't really fit with the movie. Like he wasn't bad, but it's just, I'm so used to seeing other voice actors for Lex Luthor, ones that I've seen before in other, like the Justice League animated series and whatnot. And they had a new guy doing it for Lex Luthor in this movie, and I just didn't connect with the guy, but it didn't take away too much from my experience with the movie. Honestly guys, Death of Superman was an emotional roller coaster for me. Like it almost left me in tears, just because it's the movie's rated PG-13, but it feels it's a much more mature movie for an animated kind of movie. This is the kind of quality you'd expect from like a live action theatrical kind of film, the kind of things that we should have seen in BVS that just weren't there, and the kind of stuff that Superman Doomsday just didn't quite hit. So Death of Superman is honestly the best DC animated movie since the establishment of the animated universe. I'm gonna give Death of Superman a 9.75 out of 10. So let me know what you guys think about Death of Superman. Have you seen it? What do you think about it? If you haven't seen it, I strongly recommend you watch this. This is honestly a must watch if you're not going to watch any other animated movie that comes out this year. If you don't want to watch Gotham by Gaslight, if you don't want to watch, I don't know, all the other previous DC animated movies, then you have to watch this. It's connected to the previous DC animated universe movies as well, but it's not something like, you're not going to miss out on something super critical if you don't watch the previous movies. So for newcomers, you can easily watch this and still get a general idea of what's happening to all the other supporting characters. But that's all I've got for you guys. Just my quick spoiler-free review of Death of Superman. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Did you like this? Did you hate it? Do you have mixed feelings? Also, if you have any comments or questions about this review or anything else in particular, just leave a comment down below. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And if you want to see more superhero content like this, then hit subscribe to see more. I'll see you guys next time.